We promised ourselves it would only happen once, but once turned into dozens of stolen nights, and I craved every single one. I never meant to fall for him, but 6 months into our secret, my mom walked in and saw everything. My name's Claire. I'm 24. My mom, Vanessa, is 46. She married my stepdad, Mark, 5 years ago. I was 19 when he came into our lives. At the time, I was living in a college dorm trying to figure out life. Mark was this calm, composed, well-read guy. He worked as a high school English teacher, 10 years younger than my mom, and honestly, way more emotionally intelligent than anyone she'd ever dated. He was the opposite of the emotionally distant, arrogant men she used to chase. At first, he was just Mom's new husband. I didn't think much of it. But over the years, we got close. Too close. It started subtly. After I graduated college, I moved back home for a while. Mark would talk to me in the kitchen late at night. He asked questions no one else did. He listened when I spoke about my failed job interviews, the burnout, the existential dread of adulthood. He made me feel understood, validated, and he never looked at me like a child. He treated me like an equal, like a woman. Vanessa, meanwhile, was always busy. She had her real estate career, endless calls and listings, social mixers, and a wine glass that never seemed to leave her hand after 10 p.m. Our house had this quiet tension that we all tiptoed around. Mark and I just happened to lean on each other more and more. The first time something happened was after a particularly ugly fight between my mom and me. I'd told her she was drunk and didn't know how to talk to people without condescension. She slapped me. I stormed out. Mark followed. We were in the backyard. It was dark, cold. I was crying, and he hugged me. It was too long of a hug. He pulled back and looked at me. I didn't stop him when he kissed me, and I didn't stop him. The next time, or the next. I knew what we were doing was wrong, but I also knew that I hadn't felt that scene in years. It became our secret. Texts hidden under fake names, meetings when my mom was out on showings, weekend trips she thought he took alone. We told ourselves it was temporary, that it was just connection and would end soon. 6 months in, we were experts at hiding, or so we thought. It was a Sunday afternoon. My mom was supposed to be at an open house across town. Mark and I were in the living room, something we never did. We were usually careful. But that day, the weather was perfect, the house was empty, and I guess we got careless. We were on the couch. Mark was kissing me, hand under my shirt, murmuring something stupid about taking me away, starting over. I laughed and said, "You'd have to divorce Mom first." That's when I heard the keys. The front door opened. I froze. Mark scrambled to sit up, but it was too late. My mother stood there frozen, her face going pale before flushing deep red. Her eyes flicked from me, shirt half unbuttoned, to Mark, whose hand was still hovering near my waist like he didn't know what to do with it. "What the fuck is going on?" Silence. Mark opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I stood up, tried to fix my shirt, stammered, "Mom, You what? You're fucking him?" It wasn't a question. It was a scream. The kind that vibrates in your bones. My mom staggered back like she'd been hit. Then she laughed, this bitter, hollow sound, and looked at Mark. "Really? My daughter?" "Vanessa," he began. "No, don't. Don't say a word." She turned to me. "How long?" I didn't answer. She repeated, "How long?" 6 months. She laughed again, louder this time, then stormed into the kitchen and grabbed the wine bottle she always kept chilled. Took a swig straight from the neck. "You were just a replacement," she whispered. "I should have known. You were always watching him." I felt like I couldn't breathe. She threw the bottle. It shattered against the wall. "Get the hell out of my house." I left. I didn't say a word. I grabbed my phone, my keys, and walked out. I didn't even look back. Mark stayed behind, I think to try to calm her down. But there was nothing to fix. I went to a friend's place, numb, shaking, unsure if I was about to collapse or vomit. Over the next few days, I didn't hear from either of them. The silence was brutal. I thought about calling, apologizing, explaining. But what would I even say? I'd crossed the line. I'd betrayed the woman who raised me, even if our relationship was fractured. There was no moral justification, just a slow, steady slide into something we should have never let happen. Mark texted me on the third day. "Are you okay?" I didn't respond. I didn't want to talk to him, not because I hated him, but because I hated myself more. The guilt had festered into something unbearable. I'd destroyed the one person who, in her own flawed way, tried to hold our family together. I betrayed her, and for what? A man who couldn't even defend me when it mattered? The next week, I moved into a short-term rental I found on Facebook. I cut off contact with both of them. I needed space, to breathe, to think. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw a version of myself I didn't recognize. I didn't reach out on her birthday. I didn't send a Christmas message. Not because I didn't care, but because I knew I had no right to intrude on her world. Again. I chose what I chose, and choices come with consequences. Word spread quickly. My aunt called me crying, asking if it was true. My cousin unfollowed me on everything. Friends who used to visit stopped texting. I didn't blame them. Mark, I later learned, moved out 2 weeks after everything imploded. Whether it was his decision or hers, I don't know. I never asked. My mom filed for divorce within a month. It was quiet, efficient, and brutal. She removed every trace of him from the house, pictures, clothes, furniture. She even painted the living room like it would erase what she saw that day. She blocked me. Not just on social media, on everything. Email, phone, Venmo. I was erased from her life like I'd never existed. The part that hurt the most? She didn't tell me to come back, not even to yell. The silence was louder than anything. As for Mark, he tried to reach out, a few messages here and there. He said he still loved me, that we could start over. I never replied, because deep down I knew he wasn't trying to build something with me. He was just clinging to the last piece of wreckage in a ship we both sank. I lost everything, my family, my home, my sense of who I was, and I deserved it. There's no sugarcoating it. Some mistakes you pay for once, others keep charging interest. It's been over a year. I live in a small apartment now. I work remotely, freelance writing and teaching ESL online. I keep to myself, no new friends, no romantic entanglements. I'm not ready. Probably won't be for a long time. Sometimes I see a woman in the grocery store who looks like my mom, and I freeze. My brain flicks into panic mode until I realize it's just someone else with the same hairstyle or coat. Therapy helps. Kind of. Some weeks I open up, others I sit there in silence. My therapist says I've built a wall around myself so high even I can't see over it. She's not wrong. Do I regret it? Every single day. But regret doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't unkiss him, unfeel the things I felt. It doesn't unbreak my mother's heart, and it doesn't unmake me the kind of person who did this. People always assume if someone cheats, it's because they're evil, selfish, manipulative. Sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes it's loneliness, trauma, abandonment issues dressed up as passion. Sometimes it's weakness, or delusion, or both. I haven't spoken to my mother in 14 months. I wrote her a letter once, apologized, said I wasn't asking for forgiveness, just acknowledgement that I still existed. I never got a reply. Maybe I never will. But I wrote it anyway. Because owning your shame is the least you can do when you've broken someone. Maybe one day I'll hear from her again. Maybe not. Either way, I'll carry the weight of that moment for the rest of my life.